You want to how I'm doing? I'm nervous. But the bad news is, this is my first time to do a demo. And the good news is for y'all, I'm going to make this mercifully short. If there's anything that can go wrong, it's going to go wrong. But I feel like such a professional wood turner. And not because I know anything or have any skills, because I'm wearing this nifty wood turning smock. Isn't this cool? Oh yeah, well, I don't think it does anything for my future, but you know. So, do I? Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, okay, so I bought these flowers last month, and Phil asked me if I would demo them, and I'm going to start with these gypsy flowers. And before I start, I want to ask y'all, has anybody in here actually turned flowers before on the lathe? Couple? Well, I'm sure y'all's technique is better than mine. So I'm just going to say what I'm going to show you is not the only way to do this, is not the best way, just the way I stumbled onto it, and I've ended up with some halfway acceptable results. The thing about gypsy flowers, from what I understand, is over in Europe, gypsies would travel around in little caravans, and they'd pull up to the outside of a small town and just camp on the side of the road. And while they were there, they would just cut some limbs and make these flowers, and then sell them and make some money, and that's how they kept going. So that's basically what I did. I walked across the road, and there's these stinking shrubs, like duststone, Japanese privet. They have the little white flowers that are blooming. It's nasty pollen all over the place. But they grow up, and I'll cut a piece that's about an inch and a half in diameter, and about 4.5 inches long. And let me just pass this around. Now, some people can do this with dry wood. I have not had success. The most success that I've had is when I cut it, I go straight across the road to my lathe, I turn it, I put it on the vise, and I make it. Because the moisture the wood is, the less likely the petals are going to snap off later on. So I actually cut this yesterday, and per Gerald's suggestion, I put some anchor seal on both ends trying to hold the moisture in it. So we'll see how it's going to work. It could be disastrous. But, well, I got this checked up. I really sunk down tightening the checkup because of this start and being moist. I really wanted to clamp that down. And I'm glad to see y'all are sitting way back. That's a good thing for that. Yeah, my RPM's at about 1,500, and it's going to turn this round. Oh, round up. Okay. Bye-bye. Cut. And I'm going to turn this down to about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. Next thing I want to do is use my skew to mark the center. Yeah, I'm probably going to use that right. going to drill a hole, and I got this Jacob shark, and the size of the drill bit, this is 5/32. But whatever you plan to use for the stem, now you'll notice I've just gone across the street and cut the little branches off the same plant that I got the length on. So you just want to size your bit to whatever stem you want to use. You can use bamboo fuse, you can use full wire, anything like that. Get my speed down low, about 500. When I speed back down to 1500, there's nothing magic about that. It's just and something else I want to do. So, this bank, and I'll pass this around, this is what I ended up looking at. And you'll notice the end is tapered, then there's this little shoulder I got up here. And then I decreased the diameter. This is going to be the pedal. So, what I want to do, from the end, I'm going to cut up about 3/4 of an inch. And then an inch from the end, and then from there go out about 2.5 inches. From the shoulder out is what's going to determine the length of your pedal. And you can make them really long, and I think it looks better with long pedals. But then when you're actually making it, your wrist goes up and snapping out. So I kind of compromise down at about an inch and a half. Oops. And then, towards the tip here, I like to kind of round it off because it just looks a little more natural when you put the stem on there. And the one thing you don't want to do, which is what I did on this one, sorry, that's still, don't make this end wider than the base. You really want to make this kind of taper slightly narrow. And I'll explain that once I get the base put on. This wood is supported on both sides by these jaws. If I come over here where it's not supported and try to take the pedal down, it could split all the way down to the bottom. So at least these first 4 pedals, I'm going to come on the 2 sides that are supported by the jaws. And the key is to take as slender a little sliver as you can. Now, when I first start doing this,
which way do you have the flat side of the shaker? Flat side against?
yeah, the flat side is against it.
Okay, that is flat side.
That's a great question. Because what you want to do is on this flat side, go straight down, as straight as possible. And the key to this is, when I first started, I would put that on there and make these big hits. And I got more and more splits all the way through. So I just sit here and it just takes some patience, and you just pitch out or pitch in depending on how thin or thick your pedal is. So you just make these little micro adjustments until you come down and you hit even with that collar. Now because it's moist, I can bend this over. If this is dry, it's very likely it's just going to snap off. Once again, I'm trying to just take a little sliver. And I'm watching every tap I make, if I'm coming out or I'm going deep in, and I just make an adjustment by pitching this one way or the other. Does that make sense? Okay.
Well, you might have said, but what kind of wood is this, or did you know?
It's these shrubs right out here in front of the building. What did we say it was? A Japanese civet. And it's got these little blooms on it. They're everywhere. So when I get down close to this collar, or the shoulder, I'm going to just bend that over. This way. Now at this point, rather than do the next 2, I'm going to turn this thing 90 degrees and get it back into the jaws. Make sure it's just up and down. I should have got that right. No, it's okay. And I'll advise y'all, at home, I've got this vise set up about here, and it makes it so much easier. It's almost at eye level. So it's a little difficult.
Thank goodness everybody's not gigantic like a certain person.
And then, when I get it down like this, a lot of times I'll leave this on there and kind of tap it like that, just to kind of tweak it so it doesn't keep coming back up on me. Now at this stage that I've got these first 4, I feel a little bit more confident to come around about 45 degrees and take these next corners off. Let me see if the camera angle I can get to it. Sorry, Carol. Is that the way? Alright, so I'm going in towards the center a little bit too much. I'm going to back up, I'm going to pitch my blade back and come back out towards the outside. Now, I'm not going to complete this flower to sit here boy and watch me do it. But once I have several different layers of petals all the way around, what I would next do, when I still have plenty of meat on here, is I will, let's see if I can come over here. Instead of starting at the top, I'll come down about a quarter of an inch. And they make the little, in a flower, the little stamen, there's the stalk that stick up that's got the pollen on it. So you have some little features in the center of the flower.
Well, have you tried doing this with a regular wood carving chisel?
What?
A wood carving chisel instead of...
The thinner the blade, the better. But it needs to be kind of stiff. And this is what's perfect for me.
I just think it might be sharper.
I think. I haven't tried that. So anyway, I just go around about a quarter of the way down. And I'll kind of encourage it by bending it out a little bit. And if you like me, if you're doing this and all of a sudden it's not cutting very well, it's because you get this turnaround wrong. So I have to kind of remind myself that, okay, I got the bevel on the right side. And that's pretty much it. This is kind of a dried, full version. And from there, once I finish the flower, I just put it in a little container of food color. And I went to Walmart, and they had the little bottles of liquid food coloring. I think it's red, blue, green, and yellow. And I just squirt some in some water. And it's not a formula, I just get a good dark color.
What if you use in your flowers, if you had a piece of purple red.
She said, number one, aesthetically, it looks better if you have an odd number of flowers in there, either 3 or 5. I had 4, of course, I don't know that. Also, you want some of these stems to be kind of thin, to bend over. So I saw this trick on YouTube. You just get a board, go out there and pull your stem, and boil it in a pot of water. Just boil a stew out of it. And then put it in these, however much you want to bend it. And when that cools off and dries, it'll hold that shape. And it just makes it. We didn't do it to these, these are standing up a little more than I typically like. Okay?
The question I had was on the first flower. Them off like that and fold it and back down. What if you took something and when you fold it down, because it's still wet and moist, and twisted it over, it would make the flower look like it was...
I can try that, it's the risk of snapping it down at the face. But that's the thing I'm so careful about. Once I bend it down, if I twist it on the stem, it's that same way. Now, I could try to cut it a little thicker inside. But I think the benefit of being moist with so I'm going to give that a try.
You could take a water bottle as you did it and spray it and keep it moist. Keep it from drying out on you.
Why don't you come back here and do the same thing? It's a good idea, man. Alright, let me show you all these other. Okay, so these are not gypsy flowers. They're just regular little, I call them wildflowers, made out of wood. And I just turned this the other day out of cedar. It was a tree that fell across the street from my house. And I love that cedar color. It's just so beautiful. So the way I start is I had tried to use some of the same scrub stuff. And the problem with it is you have it called intrusions and limbs and just flowers within the wood. And it really creates problems when I'm trying to make these flowers. So I had a bunch of wooden dowels left over from projects. And I just said, I think I'm now for use these dowels. And they really work well. I had to go a half inch, I think just maybe 3/8, just different sizes depends on how big you want the flowers to be. So the two things that determine the diameter of the flowers would be the dowel you start with and how far down you create the petal. I do this with a skew, and I like to put the tool rest not at center line, and maybe just a little below the level of the top of the dowel. And for me, this is kind of critical. Now with this, I do it around 1200. I don't know if there's anything magical about it. I just put heads and stuff around that speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the toe of my skew. And I'm going to come right out at the edge and find the edge and then go just a fraction of a millimeter in. Oh, let me say this too. Once I establish the angle that I'm pushing back against the wood, causes the wood to peel back, you can either push and slide along your rest, or what I find is a sort of pivot point right there on the edge, and then turn into the wood. And that way it keeps the point more consistent traveling down the wood. Where with me pushing it, I could be doing this, digging in and coming out. Alright, let's see if I can do this. So if you get down and leave create lines, how you want to move your rest out of the road, because what I found is I get the pedal dry, here against the west, this is getting nice size. If you push down a good way and create long petals, they're going to stick out further. So you want to be sure you move your rest, because they come around and get knocked off. Then you can fall up and left. So I kind of turn it around and angle it, and then as I get further in, I'll lower my rest just a little bit. And if you do each successive layer, you want to try to get those layers the same distance from each other. So you don't want one out here and then the next layer to end up closer. You want it with it kind of consistent.
But you watch somebody over here to your left. Did you watch somebody on video or something to do this, or did you learn to do it on your own?
Actually, Calvin Way is an Englishman. These are his signature shoes. And in selling the shoes, he shows how to make flowers, he inserts some baby Christmas trees. And so that's where I got this technique. And after 2 or 3 tries, it was just so easy. I mean,
all I can say is you're darn good.
Well, back when I was trying to learn how to use this shoe properly, and I did this test, I was messing up. I didn't know you could actually use, yeah, I will. But so what I do now is I'm gonna try to pull off the back side. Before I move, did everybody see I'm not flat on the left. I'm angled up and pitched out, and I just want that very point touching just the edge. And then once I get the cut going, I just push, or either I push it. And the wood, as long as you don't babble up and down, that wood will just peel back nicely. Did you want to see this if it's still on the blank, or does it matter? Did you wanted to see this? Did you want to see it still attached to the main part, or just the flower by itself? Okay. That's it, that it. Where is it? Oh. Now, when I push this off, I want to push this with some flex. I don't want it to come to a point. Because I'll grind that flat and then fill it over. And once I've flattened the back of that, I just use a little pin vise with a small bit that's the same size of the floral wire that I use to stick into the back and glue it. You can use super glue. I use E6000, and that's what I use for the skin. That's 18-gauge floral wire. Now, you can play with these flowers as far as that. I just did that really quick. I mean, I zoomed in. But if you push further down and do it, you can make tears, all different kinds of shapes out of it. Let me pass this bowl of flowers around, y'all can just take a look at the different shapes that you can create. Now, the color, I think Phil suggested that you could dip these in the same food color I use. You could dip them in spirit stains, but I like to have the different colors. So like maybe 2 or 3 different colors on each flower, and I accomplish that with an airbrush. And the way I do that is I made this little jig. It's just 2x2 dimension lumber. And I turned it and put a little nipple in it and drilled a hole, and I put that in my cup and set it on low speed. And as that's turning, I'll have my airbrush, and I'll just sit there and airbrush. So that's how I do that. So any questions? Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. I appreciate it. Thanks, y'all. You know, I'm not a public speaker, and I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be because of you guys. Y'all are like my friends and my family, and so thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, babe.
Could you tell the name of the...
I'm sorry. What?